intro, Dave. All right, well, for your warm-up, we have an old-school hymn you may recognize, and if you don't, you'll catch on.
For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. God of all, to you we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Remember that one?
For the beauty of each hour, for the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. God of all, to you we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. God of all, to you we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
Nicely done. All right. Here we go. All right, good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. It is a beautiful day. We'll be celebrating Earth Day today, among other things. And so for this song written by our own Lisa Stormfeld, the chorus has you say, sing your song to me. The second time you say, sing your song through me. So notice the difference. Please rise and join us in Mother Earth is singing to me.
Mother Earth is singing to me. Mother Earth is singing to me. Every rock and cloud and tree, Mother Earth is singing to me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song to me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song through me.
You got it.
Waterfalls are laughing with me, honeybees are humming to me. Every rock and cloud and tree, Mother Earth is singing to me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song to me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song through me. Willow leaves are dancing with me. Brother sun is smiling on me. And every rock and cloud and tree, Mother Earth is singing to me.
Come on, sing.
Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song to me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song through me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song to me. Oh, Mother Spirit, sing your song through me.
Say that again.
Sing your song through me. One more time. Sing your song through me.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. My name is Holly Curses. I'm delighted to be here and glad to see all of you. Thank you to Lisa and Delilah for leading us in song, and great song, Lisa, accompanied by our band, Dave, Dustin, and Dan. And we have a special guest artist this morning, Ami Davan. Ami shares Ami shares his music at concerts throughout the country and events with spiritual leaders, including Matthew Fox, Gangaji, and Martha Creek. His lyrics and music are inspired by years of meditation, study, and wisdom based on spiritual practice. You may visit him and purchase his music on the patio after service. Please join me again in welcoming Ami Davan. Now I invite you to turn your cell phone off so we may enjoy this sacred service together. Please join me by turning to the camera and waving hello to our friends at home. Your presence adds to our spiritual community, and we appreciate you. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. At Unity of Walnut Creek, our mission is, in loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. I invite you to join me in affirming our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. I invite the ushers to come forward. If you're new to Unity of Walnut Creek, we want to extend a warm welcome. We are glad you're here, and we hope you'll come back. If you would like to raise your hand, the ushers will bring you a welcome packet of information. Oh, we've got quite a few people today. Alberto? We have some more over here. Okay. One more. And we have one more up here. I'll make sure you get one afterwards. Okay. Okay. And then one lady in the back row there, please. Inside the packet is a connection card. If you take it to the welcome table on the patio or the bookstore, after the service, you will receive a special gift. If you didn't raise your hand and would like information, packets are also available after the service on the patio. Please stop by and say hello. We look forward to meeting you, and thank you for coming and joining us today. Connection cards are also available for everyone in the seat pockets in front of you. With this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback or request information. Please place your card in the basket with the offering later in the service. Now, please take a moment and greet the people immediately around you.
Right away. Dan.
more time. I choose God in everything.
Yes, you do.
And now for our announcements. Join us after the 11:30 service today for our volunteer picnic. We'll have tons of fun as we celebrate our wonderful volunteers who have done so much for us this year. Enjoy lunch, fun activities, and connect with old friends and make some new ones. Everyone is welcome. Our spring classes also start in 2 weeks. On Monday evenings, join Trey Holloway Boxer for Touch for Health, Acupressure Self-Care. You'll create your own wellness kit and be in greater control of your health. On Tuesday evenings, join Shoshana Cobran to learn 7 steps to positive connections. She'll teach us how to create a satisfying life through connection with ourselves, each other, the environment, and spirit. On Thursday evenings, join Reverend Kristen Powell for Wholehearted Leadership. If you want to hone your people connection skills, enhance your ability to affect positive change, and experience more fulfillment on teams, oh my goodness, be sure to attend this class. Do you love tacos? Do you love to dance? Okay. Be sure to mark your calendar then for May 11th for Tacos del Sol. And please see your bulletin for more information about these and other events at our center. And now I'd like to invite Reverend Kristen to the platform.
Well, Holly said almost all of it, but there's one more event coming up, and that is this Sunday we're going to launch a new series. We're wrapping up our current series today, and next week we're going to launch a series on wholehearted spiritual leadership. And that afternoon we have a special workshop by Paula Schiff. Paula's here. And one of her colleagues from Washington, D.C., Jim Lovelace, who's flying in just for this workshop, and they're going to be offering us a workshop that has a lot to do with leadership. It's about, anybody find themselves in any difficult conversations these days? So they're going to help us build the skills to move and not have our goal be agreement necessarily, but alignment. Doesn't that sound good? Yeah, sounds like some really important skills. So consider joining Paula and Jim this Sunday after service at 2 o'clock for that workshop, and it'll be all part of our launch into this idea of spiritual leadership. So stay tuned for more fun. And I want to invite now forward Bobby Bader, who's one of our prayer chaplains, and we're going to begin our time of meditation with a special reading for Earth Day. We do realize Earth Day was Monday, but also Easter was Sunday, so we decided to celebrate Earth Day today, and that's what this poem is all about.
Earth Day, a poem by Jane Yolen. I am the earth, and the earth is me. Each blade of grass, each honey tree, each bit of mud and stick and stone is blood and muscle, skin and bone. And just as I need every bit of me to make my body fit, so earth needs grass and stone and tree and things that grow here naturally. That's why we celebrate this day. That's why across the world we say, as long as life, as dear as free, I am the earth is me.
So we just take a moment to enter into the stillness as we prepare our hearts to receive meditation and song.
Listen
song of the mountain. Remember the ancient memories. Go into the heart of silence. Drink from the nectar of eternity. Listen to the song of the mountain. Remember the ancient memories. Go into the heart of silence. Drink from the nectar of eternity. Opening to the love that's always been, the love that forever shall be. Go into the heart of silence. Drink from the nectar of eternity. Drink from the nectar of eternity.
And so we enter the silence, this place of rest, connection, communion. You might call forth a favorite place on earth where you feel completely connected to the earth. Situate yourself there, lying down or sitting upon the earth. It is here, body to body, sacred body to sacred body. Yourself and the earth connected. We turn to the silence within and all around. And drink from the nectar of spirit in the silence. as we rise from this place of connection to the earth, we give thanks in some way. Some expression of our gratitude for the honor of earth and the honor of our own body. And for these silent times when we rest in the presence and become aware of all that is holy. Thank you, God. Thank you, earth. Thank you, spirit of our being. And so it is.
Opening to the love that's always been, the love that forever shall be. Go into the heart of silence, drink from the nectar of eternity. Flesh and blood, skin and bone, a dream. I called home, the sun is hot, water is wet. Now remember, then forget. But how could I miss this?
Oh, my. When I want to drop into the presence, I'm going to remember this. Beautiful. And that did you two just meet today? How is that possible? How is that possible? Wow, the weaving together, the duet. Yeah. So good, isn't it? When we have these moments, it's just like, I don't want to get up. I just want us to be in this reverie together. Yeah. We are so, so blessed. Thank you, Lisa and Tyler, just for... They just bring it every week, don't they? So, okay, I'm going to calm down here. Get to talking. So, wow, so many years ago, 30 years ago or so, more than that, my first professional job was at Ogilvy and Mather Public Relations. Anybody ever hear of Ogilvy and Mather? Yeah. I was in Chicago in the big offices and the high rise. And my soul wanted to be otherwise. So after about 2 years there, I took a leave of absence and went and visited my friend Laura, who was finishing a Peace Corps tour in Africa. And I took 6.5 weeks off, sold my car so that I had money to go. And when I returned, of course, like we always do, I returned very different, like every day, right? Every day of this living, we return different. And I came into the CEO's office, Mary Lou, she and I were very different. And she had this huge corner office and big glass desk. And I was sitting like a mile away where the guest chair was. It was, just... And she says to me, she didn't really like the idea I was going anyway. I think she thought that was very frivolous. And she says to me, "Leisure becomes you." And I'm like, wow. I just, here I am in this business suit, and I'm somewhere else. Suddenly I'm in Africa again, In this moment when I got out of we were on kind of a self-made safari, and there was this gazelle, and I got out with my camera, and then I just stopped and didn't take the picture because I suddenly was within a fairly close distance of a wild animal, and it was a gazelle. I think of it as like a deer, right? But I don't know what a gazelle does. Will it charge me? Will it, So there was like this wonder and this awe and this fear all at once, And it's just me, it seems, and the gazelle and nothing else but the wide plains, and quiet. And then now I think, well, what was the gazelle thinking, Was she having a moment of wonder and awe and beholding the beauty of the human before her? Or was she thinking, holy cow, I don't know what that thing is in her hand. What is she going to do? Was she afraid, And it's like that body-to-body sacredness on earth, those moments of creature-to-creature meetings, Those bring us deep into our souls. And I'd been on this journey of like dust and plains and earthiness and wild animals and vast skies of stars and, just like opened up, right? And then here I'm sitting back in this place, a mile away from this woman who's saying, "Leisure becomes you." And it's like she has no context, right? I get it. She has absolutely no context for what she's seeing. She's not seeing somebody who's relaxed because they just came back from vacation. She's seeing somebody whose soul has been blown open, who's alive, who has touched the aliveness of the earth, who's gone back to the roots of humanity, our birthplace of Africa, and felt the heartbeat, the drum beat of the heart. It's like a whole different world when we come alive like that. And it just didn't fit anymore. And it wasn't long before I left and realized that it didn't fit me anymore, that these business suits were not for me, and this place was not for me. And so it is for us when we come alive like that, we're coming into the body of earth, the body of self and the body of earth that are really one, you know? And that's where our soul then and our heart opens up and our authenticity begins to show. And we realize how many ways we separate ourselves from that and cover ourselves up and sort of go along with what we're taught we're supposed to do. And yet, you know, we walk barefoot at the ocean and something comes alive in us again. We put our hands in the dirt and begin to dig and garden, and something in us comes alive again. Something stirs again in the soul, you know, because it's sacred body of earth and sacred body of us coming into contact and remembering who we are again. So, no, Mary Lou, it's not leisure that becomes me. It's a soul coming alive right in front of you that is happening here. So, you know, Walt Whitman said, I sing the body electric. That was his poem in the first line of the poem by the same title. And I was Googling it yesterday, and I saw that all these people were talking about what did he mean by I sing the body electric. And I'm just realizing you're all still in the dark. Are you good with that, or do you want some light? Okay. Well, if you want light, just raise your hand, and I'm sure somebody will turn the lights back on. So he says, I sing the body electric, and people are trying to understand from an intellectual standpoint what I sing the body electric means. And it's like, I don't know what it means exactly, but can't you feel it in a way? It's like when you hear that line of poetry, I sing the body electric, it's that sense of aliveness, that sense of the rising of aliveness, a sense of waking up again and recognizing the sacredness and the honor of life, the passion in life, all of it. All of it is good. So, you know, we're celebrating both Earth Day on the same day that we're wrapping our series, Resurrecting the Cosmic Christ. And it might on first blush seem like those things are quite different, but actually they're quite much the same. They're very much infused with one another. As we've been on this series, you know, we've had these stops along the way. The first week was more out into the cosmos, right, from which we came, made of stardust, into the galaxies and all the way back, deep into the human body to see how the little protons and neutrons move around and they actually look like a starry sky, and how we are made of that. We come from that cosmos. And this idea of the Christ that we get, and we talk about a lot, is this innate spirit, yet it is something that was definitely emulated for us by Jesus, but it didn't usher into the world at Jesus' time, but the Christ was something that's always been. This cosmic Christ idea is like the great I am, right? From the beginning of time, the source and more. It's the mystery. So it's bringing that mystery back in, and then that innate essence of the Christ, that spirit that the body temple houses. It's all of that. So in that first week we were looking at that, and then the second week we quickly grounded it, especially after I heard from one or two people that said, whoa, I didn't really even know where we were in that cosmic, you know, kind of opening it all up into the heavens. And so we grounded it with, here I am, you know, here I am, the Moses story before the burning bush. Here I am, just offering myself over as service to the earth, to be the invisible God on earth through the visible body, to be able to share and to serve and to be in that sacredness. And the next week we looked at the transfiguration, the altering appearance, the radiance of the divine light that shines through us and as us. And looked at the experience of the transfiguration as Jesus experienced it, and how that alteration happens for all of us when we come into that kind of translucence through the body of the light showing through. And then, of course, last week we were at the resurrection, right? Easter Sunday. And we talked about how Jesus is the mystic that showed us a very kind of unusual form of mysticism in a way, because for so long we've always seen it as transcendence, and yet he was all about embodiment of spirituality. And that's actually what the resurrection was. He came back into his body, and he walked and talked among his friends, and he ate food to show us this embodied spirituality that we are. So the resurrecting of the cosmic Christ is very earthy, actually. It's very much an earthy thing. And we're back now to the sacred earth and the sacred body, and they are one. It's so often we think, when we hear so much about the earth today, right? With climate change and all that looms over our heads. But, if you talk to many Native American people, say, the earth is fine. She's going to be fine. Because the earth knows how to resurrect herself. She knows how to regenerate herself. The question is, do we? Right? The question is, do we know how to honor the sacred body of self and therefore the sacred body of earth and vice versa? And that's the key. That's the linchpin. That's the question that the jury's still out on. But more and more of us are waking up, right? More and more of us are realizing that this wholeness, this allness, this embodied spirituality is absolutely key to our understanding. And so we're walking that walk together. Our bodies even look like the earth, if you think about it. We have mountains and valleys and vast plains and waters. We have blue rivers that run through us like as in veins. And our bodies smell like the earth. Sometimes they smell dusty or like the ocean or the rain or even the flowers. So we have that kind of, we look and we smell and, we have this sensuousness that is very much like the earth itself. And we also, our vitality comes from the elements, just like the earth. Just like wind and fire and earth and water, we too are that in the body, right? So the earth itself, like the body, but the emotions very much like water, right? That move through us, that emote and move through us and wave through us. And then also thoughts like air, right? The thoughts, the importance of the thoughts and the very breath of spirit that moves through us, very much like air. But also spirit is the fire. It's the light that ignites in us. It is the way and the passion that moves through us to share in the world. So there's so many ways. We're just beginning to scratch the surface of the ways that the body of earth and the body of us is one and the same. And so when we care for the body of earth, when we open to that, it's a whole different world. When we commune with this body of earth. When's the last time you ate? Anybody eat today? And did you consume or did you commune? Because it's a real different vibration, isn't it? We had a communion service recently during Easter week, and during that communion service, of course, we broke bread. And the bread, the substance, the body of Christ, the body of the earth, the daily prayer, the abundance, it had so many ways of speaking to us. And last night, the last night of Passover, many people celebrated in synagogues and homes the Seder, the experience of Seder. And one of those celebrations was marked by tragedy in San Diego. Some of you may have heard of a shooting in a synagogue. And it just breaks the heart open, doesn't it, when we are in these sacred places of ritual and we are in the most sacred places of infusing spirit in the essence of who we are and recognizing how honorable life is. And then there are those who are so separate from it, so cut off from it, And so it's for us to take those rituals even deeper. It's for us to really take up those rituals and to understand that every time we eat, it is Seder. Every time we eat, it is Passover. That marking of freedom and peace. And every time we break the bread or drink the wine or have the grapes or the honey or anything that we might eat, even fast food, can be slowed down. There's a whole slow food movement. I don't know if you know about that, but with a blessing, right, of where this food came from. The animals and the plants that produce this food, the farmers that grew it, that dug in the earth, and that, the sun that raised it up, and the rains that fell down, all of that is in that. And so 3 times a day, and probably more, if you're like me, probably more like 6 times a day, you have something to eat. And when you do, there's an opportunity to slow that down and to recognize you're having a fruit of the earth, the body of Christ, right there. And it's coming into your body, and it's sacred. and your body is sacred. So often we are mean to our bodies, right? We're cruel and critical with our bodies. And yet when we do that, we are criticizing the very spirit that we love because it can't be separated. And so it is the way that we treat the body then that becomes the way that we treat the earth. And the more that we bring this sacredness, this kind of sacred communion to our times of eating, our times of drinking, the things that we do all the time, then it gets woven into our lives like that, and everything mundane becomes sacred. Everything becomes holy to us. We see then through the holy eyes. We feel through the holy heart. We have that sense, and when we have that sense, then there is a whole different kind of relationship that opens up with the natural world and the home upon which we live. And it just automatically, we take better care because we are taking better care of this. That is spirit. Lots of little energies that come together to make us from the stardusty essence of the cosmos to the dust of the earth. It's all us. That's what Jesus meant when he said, both you are the light of the world and you are the salt of the earth. We're both, and both are sacred. So I was talking about the Seder, and it reminded me too of Sabbath. I have a friend, Mirabai Starr, who some of you may know. She's an author. She's actually coming here in August. Very excited to have her come. But she and I were leading a retreat in Spain a few years ago, in Avila, Spain, where Teresa of Avila hails from. And wherever Mirabai travels, she likes to bring the ritual of Sabbath to enjoy with other people. So on Friday evening, very much like communion, there is a ritual to kick off Sabbath. And so we were all gathered around her and having this Sabbath together. And she had us, there's a photo of us that I want to show you. She had us cover our eyes. And why she had us cover our eyes was because the holy bread was there. And the bread was covered with this beautiful cloth. And she referred to the bread as she, and she said, you must close your eyes and cover your eyes because we're about to unveil her. And so we were all instructed to, once the veil came off the bread, we were to take our hands off our eyes and see the beauty, and together we all went, oh! And then we broke the bread. You know, it's like those simple but beautiful rituals that open us to the sacred, that remind us of the sacred that we are. Mary Oliver finds God in a slice of melon in this verse from her book, Thirst. Every morning, she says, I want to kneel down on the golden cloth of sand and say some kind of musical thanks for the world that is happening again, another day. From the shawl of the wind coming out of the west to the firm green flesh of the melon, lately sliced open and eaten, its chill and ample body, flavored with mercy. I want to be worthy of what? Glory. Yes, unimaginable glory. O Lord of melons, of mercy, I am climbing toward you. That's how I end every Mary Oliver poem. So I was doing some training years ago on mirroring. If any of you have done a nature immersion with me or any of my nature work, this is part of it, that at the end of your solo time in nature, we come back and tell stories, and I mirror your story back to you. And while we were being trained in this, we went through the different phases, the different seasons, essentially, like the body goes through the different seasons, right? So summer is the child, it's play, it's discovering the body and exploring in this particular wheel of life. And in the West, in the fall time, the season of fall, we are more in the internal, more in the emotional, more in the kind of introspective kind of place. And then we come from there into the winter, the time of the adult, and in winter time we're nurturing our family and we're serving, but we also at the end of that winter time we make our transition, right? We go into spring and it's rebirth and renewal and we are born again. But it's also the time of spirit, igniting the spirit through that mysterious time. And so this particular day, it was the first day where we were having an experience of the child of the summertime, the season of the body that is summer. And something happened where, which, it's great when this does happen that you completely shift into the experience. And so I did. I completely shifted into the experience. And now I can see it from a different angle. But then I was a child again. I went into the child again and into the exploration of the body and jumped in this, really cold stream of water and then found my way up this small hill or mountain, I guess, a small mountain, I would say. And there were rocks there, and to me it just looked like a horse inviting me to ride it. And so I rode the horse, I don't know for how long. I was just playing. I was just a child again. But there was a sense of at some point it was time to come home, and so I went back down the hill. And I wouldn't have ever seen this, like just before that, just before shifting into the eyes of a child. Like Jesus talks, the child will, lead us, that's the way into the kingdom, right? And so I was in that kind of frame of mind when I walked down, and I looked at these rocks that just before that would have looked through my adult eyes like rocks, but I sucked my breath in and I went, oh, the rock people. And they really did. They were like breathing formations of rock people. I mean, they were alive. And there's that when we come into this kind of sacred understanding of who we are and what nature is in this body of earth, everything then comes alive for us. Everything becomes honorable. And we snap out of our superiority complex, which is a big part of our problem, is this illusion that we are superior to other living things. And this idea that because we have a human brain and we think the animal or the being or even the rock has none or has a limited one, we create this kind of superiority kind of way of thinking. But if we can instead open up to the divine intelligence that we all share, a whole new realm of communication can open up for us. J. Allen Boone talks about this in a book from 1954, published in 1954, called Kinship with All Life. Anybody heard of this book? I know there was a heart math group that studied this book. I learned this morning from Holly. And somebody handed me the book, if it was one of you, thank you very much, about a year ago. And I just picked it up a couple of days ago. And I loved it, and I want to share with you a little bit of what J. Allen talked about. So he was caring for Strongheart, who was a movie star, apparently, in those times. Anybody ever hear of Strongheart the dog, the German Shepherd movie star? Some of you are nodding, sort of vaguely remember. So apparently Strongheart was this big, beautiful German Shepherd. He was police trained, he was military trained, and then he became a movie star on top of it all. And J. Allen was just taking care of him. So he didn't really know much about him from the movie angle. He was just asked when the parents went on vacation to be the caregiver. And so he spent time with this magnificent dog. This dog would do things like he wanted to play, and so he would go and open the door, the closet where his toys were kept with his jaw, and he'd look around and pick the toy he wanted, and then he'd go out and he'd throw it around and play in the yard by himself for a while. This is what's amazing. When he was done, he would go and put it back in the closet and shut the door. If only our children were so well trained, right? And J. Allen was experimenting with all these things about starting to see the dog not as human and dog, but as intelligent equals. Open both of us to the divine mind. So why wouldn't divine intelligence come through both of us? And the dog tended to be more in the present moment and more open, right? So all the more the divine intelligence would just move through this dog, which it did, and all dogs and all animals for that matter. I'll get to another one in a moment that J. Allen talked about. So with Strongheart, there's one other story I just want to tell you, that he started to recognize that it wasn't just when he spoke to Strongheart that there was these connections, but it was also when he thought things. And so one day he was working, and it was a beautiful spring day, and he'd been working for several hours, hadn't seen the dog in quite a while, and he just thought to himself, oh, it'd be nice if we went out and took a romp in the countryside. And no sooner had he thought it Then Strongheart came skidding into the room, doing circles and up and down and super excited. And then he ran into the bedroom and got Jay Allen's sweater that he always took on their outings and brought it and dropped it at his feet. There's more. Went and got his hiking pants, did the same. Went and got one hiking shoe, brought it back, went and got the other hiking shoe, and finally the walking pole. And then continued to dance and prance and, you know. And so it was nothing to the dog that he could read his mind. Well, of course, it was everything to the human who's like, holy cow, I didn't know, you know. And he talked about how, you know, yeah, this dog seemed special in some ways, but all animals could do this. And he began to have this communion with everything, ants and worms and a fly. Yes, even a fly. I know most of us consider flies dirty and annoying, but Jay Allen found an equality with a fly. So one day he was shaving, and there was a fly on the mirror. He went into the kitchen after he finished shaving, and the fly followed him in. He went into the living room, and the fly followed him in. And the fly stayed with him throughout his day as he was working. And he made an agreement with the fly. He said, look, humans don't like it when flies crawl on their exposed skin. He said, so you can do anything, but you cannot crawl on my skin. You can crawl on my clothes, but you can't crawl on my... He said the fly never crawled on his skin again. And this fly, he said, when he wanted to get his attention, he called him Freddie. So Freddie the fly would come right in front of his nose and do all these acrobatics when he wanted to get his attention. So he started doing things like putting his finger up, and the fly would land on his finger. And then he started a game where he would throw Freddie up in the air, and he had drawn a line on his palm, and one side was for Jay Allen and one side was for Freddie. And the game was to see which side Freddie would fall on. And he said Freddie always landed more on the Freddie side, and so he always won the game. He said, in fact, I owed him thousands of dollars by the time the thing was over. So in the few weeks that a fly lives, Freddie was his friend, not his pet, but his friend, his intelligent equal. That he was able to call this fly when he wanted to, and the fly would abide by certain things that he asked the fly to do, and they were like friends. And if he could become friends like that with a fly and open to the divine intelligence, how much are we missing? You know? How much are we missing when we just squish things, take the life out of it? Why do we do that even? And so there's that kind of sacredness that maybe next time we'll think about catching the little critter and freeing it instead, because we always have an option. We always have a choice, right? In the sacredness of all of life, this is part of how we honor the body of Earth, is to honor all of her creatures and to see that there is a divine intelligence that moves through all beings, that makes all beings a part of this earth. And our sharing with them, whether it is a deer that we're beholding, or a flower that we're smelling, or earth that's between our fingers, or sand that's between our toes, whatever it is that we are experiencing in that moment, it is just that present moment of this, kind of that melting into this, that allows us then to care for the sacredness of the body, and automatically then we care for the sacredness of all beings and of our Mother Earth home. It just happens because we're in that kind of consciousness. So invitation after invitation is awaiting us. When I ended my trip in Kenya, our friend George, he was a guide, and Laura and I he taught us a song in Swahili that we all sang, and then we taught him an American iconic song, American Pie. And we all sang that. And then I said, this trip would be perfect if I could see a shooting star. I've never seen a shooting star in my life, and it wasn't too long after that a star went streaking through the sky, And it's that reminder again, back to the stardust, right? Back to the cosmos, back to the Christ that is everywhere present when we eat, when we drink, when we walk, when we talk, when we serve, when we sit, when we rest. Everywhere sacred. We are that. We are the resurrected cosmic Christ when we move with that kind of consciousness, that kind of softness, that kind of lightness, soft focus in the world. Let's know this together as we close this series, that we have indeed resurrected the cosmic Christ, and we've done it in this way through the body and as the body and the sacredness of all of it. Let's say it together, our affirmations. I am the embodied cosmic Christ. I am the body of sacred earth. And so it is. Bless you.
Reverend Kristen, thank you very much for that beautiful reminder of our connection to our sacred earth and our sacred bodies. And now it's time to introduce our prayer chaplains. They're available after the service to provide personal prayer support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, please stand. Our prayer chaplains wear the lavender stoles. And whether you have a joy or a concern on your heart today, praying with our prayer chaplains provides a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up into consciousness. Thank you. Thank you for your service. And now it's time for our prosperity celebration. Let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature. For your convenience, there are a variety of ways to financially give to this community. For credit card donations, use PushPay or take an envelope from the clipboard in the back of each chair in front of you. Starting today, you can also use a new app on your smartphone called Give. Give is spelled G-Y-V-E. Over the next month, we will be moving away from PushPay to Give. Please see the information on the inside cover of your bulletin on why we are switching and how easy it is to use the Give app. Those of you at home can click here or donate button on the Watch Live page. I invite you now to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat our affirmation with me together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you.
A few years ago, I got a poem, email. A friend sent me this poem, and it was entitled Universe, one verse. And I realized I've been saying the word universe for 40 years, 45 years, and it never occurred to me that it's one giant song. A lot of you probably already knew that, right? It took me a while, but I got so excited. I sat down with a pencil and it turned into this song. 2, 3, go. Something is building. I can hear momentum. It's the sound of change, the sound of things to come. It's building in our cities, it's building in the towns. It's the song within, waiting to be found. Only you know the part that is written within your heart. One verse, one song, one light shines, one people, one truth, one love divine. You're the missing voice in this symphony. Everyone is needed for true harmony. The melody for you is just behind the doubts. Sing and remember what this life's about. Only you know the part that is written within your heart. One verse, one song, yeah. One light shine, one people, one truth, one love divine. We are a one world choir. Lift the vibration higher. Heart as wide as the sky above our song. So send it out with love. Yeah. Yeah, you guys sound great. So would you all help me sing the last chorus? Okay, let's try this call and response. So one verse, one song,
One song,
one light shines,
one light shine,
one people,
one people,
one truth,
one truth,
one love divine.
one love divine.
It's kind of a lot, but if you remember the word one, you'll be halfway there. And maybe, yeah, it sounds great if we could have some. We come from the light, and that's where we go. One family, here to learn and grow. Give the gift of you, that is your melody. This song called life, one great symphony. It's time to sing the part that is written within our heart. One verse, one song, one light shine, one people, one truth, one love. One more time, I think we got it. One verse, one song, one light shines, one people, one truth, one love, one love, one love, one love divine.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, let's bless our offering. That's all right. You can play Warren and Alberto up the aisle. That's lovely. So we thank you, Spirit, for this celebratory Sunday, for our beautiful, beautiful planet, for our beautiful, beautiful bodies, all one, all sacred, all worthy to be honored. And we give thanks for the abundant good that is represented here that flows through the body of our ministry with ease and grace and joy. Let's bless it together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. Now the children. Good morning.
Hi, everybody. So, who wants to tell the grown-ups what we did today? Raise your hand. Okay.
We made heart necklaces and hearts for the people that work here.
Yeah. Good. For our volunteers, right?
Yeah, volunteers.
For our volunteers. And then what did we do for those hearts? We gave, anyone want to talk about that? You, okay.
We did a blessing.
We blessed them, right? What does that mean when we give a blessing? Who led us in that? Oh, Claire led the blessing, right? Can you tell us about the blessing that you gave them and we all helped with?
Okay. So I'm going to say the blessing that I did?
Sure.
I kind of forget, but okay. Thank you to the people that volunteer at church and work there. We appreciate it.
Yes, we do. We appreciate it. We did one more thing after that because we're very busy back there. What did we do after we worked with the hearts?
Paint pots.
We painted our pots and we
Planted flowers.
planted our flowers. All right, one last thing.
And we had fun.
Oh, contagious joy. Let's bless our children and teachers together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. I invite you now to take your neighbor's hand, if you're comfortable doing so, as we close out with a prayer of protection and the peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
All
are the earth. I am the love, the light, the peace on earth right now. So let us shine our lights and have fun.
And come right back for the volunteer appreciation ceremony.